Hey everybody, I'm JJ. You're watching Reality Survival. So today I was thinking we'd have a little talk about inch bags. For those of you who don't know, an inch bag is it's an acronym for I'm never coming home. So the idea is that you're gonna pack up a bag, you're gonna throw it on your back, you're gonna go out deep into the woods, and you're just going to live out there forever. Now, I've talked about this a little bit in the past, and I obviously don't think that is the optimum selection. Okay, I don't think that's a great route to go, because there's a lot of downsides to being alone in the wilderness, right? And for those of you guys who don't know, I'm a former SEER instructor for the Air Force, class 9702. And so I know a little bit about surviving in the wilderness and what it takes, and what how dangerous it can be. Okay. So there's a lot of upsides and downsides to it, and I guess we could talk about that too. Why would anybody ever need to grab an inch bag and go? Well, I guess the first thing is that you have to understand, or you'd have to, most people aren't going to take their kids and their wives out into those situations. So that means that you're having to abandon your family, unless they've been killed or whatever. That's a pretty dishonorable thing. Now, if you're a single person and you opt to do that, then you're not hurting anybody, and that's totally within your rights. I suppose you could also imagine that somebody who is in trouble with the law might do that if we, got to a point where the government was so tyrannical and that kind of stuff. They started knocking on people's doors who were preppers and seizing their stuff and putting them in jail, or you're a Christian and so you're an extremist, or some weird, crazy hypothetical scenario like that. Then maybe there would be a reason for people to head into the hills and try to disappear and just be left alone, right? I can understand that mindset. And I hope that our government never gets there. Are we getting close? Well, it seems like it's kind of inching in that direction, unfortunately. But I think we're going to turn that around. But that's maybe another video for another discussion. So I can understand the value and the idea and the concept behind an inch bag, and why people might feel they want to have one and want to be able to have a set of tools that would allow them to go up into the hills and just try to exist on your own, right? Again, the big problem with this is that, you sprain an ankle, you break your leg, something like that, accidentally, cut yourself, and that cut gets infected. Now you got real problems. Now you can do some things to mitigate some of those issues and stuff like that, but they can complicate themselves really, really badly, especially if it's during winter and heavy cold snaps and that kind of thing. Even a very, very skilled woodsman, somebody with a lot of experience, a lot of practice living with primitive ways, they have a very difficult time, just going up and living in the woods. It's not an easy endeavor, especially for modern people who just they don't have the same constitution, the same build, the same level of grit that older, past generations did. 40 years ago, 50 years ago, there were probably a lot more people who could do it and get by with it than there are today, because most of us, you know, we spend all of our time indoors. We spend all of our time in air conditioning, or the majority of it, say. And we're just not used to the temperature extremes. We're not used to, you know, regulating our body temperature and all that kind of stuff outdoors all the time. And so there's a lot of challenges involved in it. But I do get the concept, and I understand why people have that as a last resort, kind of you know, I've got no other options and I just want to be left alone, so I'm going to the hills. So I get it. So let's talk about the 7 most important tools that I think that you would need to have in an inch bag. So the first one, in my assessment, is probably going to be a pot. So that is just a little metal container or something, you know. Really the best size would actually be something fairly big, like a 2 or 3 gallon, something along those lines. Because you can always just put less water in it and still use it. You can also fry in the bottom of those pans and stuff like that. Like, you know, a bigger pot would be better. But the very minimum that you would want is a 1 quart pot. 2 quart pot definitely would be better, but a couple gallon pot would actually be the right way to go, I think. The next thing on the list, and these are really not in any order of importance, because I think all of these items can be equally important. You're gonna need them, you know. And that pot, before I move on, that pot, you know, you're not just cooking food in it. You're also, you know, sterilizing water. You're also using it for sanitation and hygiene. You can use it for collecting goods, you know, or like goods, like, you know, for foraging plants and stuff like that, for gathering firewood or kindling. You could use, I mean, you can use it. It's just a container, right? So you can use it for a bazillion different things in a lot of different ways. So that is the first one there, and the next one is probably going to be a shovel. And a lot of people might not understand the value of a shovel when you're living in a wilderness situation, but there's a lot of instances where digging becomes necessary, and you want to, I had a tick on me, you want a shovel that is big and sturdy and very strong. So like one of those Hooey Man shovels, or, you know, something with a really, I think that's the name of the brand, that's got the big steel, it's like a, if I'm not mistaken, don't hold me to that, but I would like a full-sized steel shovel with a steel handle, something that would last a very long time, and you could use it in hard conditions. So a shovel can be used, you can use it to dig for water. You can use it for creating a refrigerator for your food that you're trying to keep, you know, from spoiling. You can use it for creating a roof for your house, like a sod roof. I mean, there's just any number of different things and different reasons why you would want a good shovel. Digging out, you know, back into like an overhang on a dirt, you know, give you some shelter. There's just snow caves, if you had to build a snow cave. I mean, you know, there's all kinds of things. Now, a lot of people might like the idea of the compactness of an e-tool, and you can do a lot with an e-tool. They do work pretty well. If you get the actual military issued one, I haven't found a ton of other brands that really have that are as heavy duty. The problem is eventually with a lot of hard use, even the military ones do get worn out, and so they're not. If you want long term, you really need a good solid full size shovel. If it's just an interim kind of plan or something like that, then you can probably get by with it. But long term, full size. So the next one on the list, the next thing that you need is an axe. So an axe is going to be your primary cutting tool, and you got to know how to use it, right? Somebody mentioned in the comments the other day on the 30 tools, first 30 tools or whatever, I talked about an axe, and they were like, axes are too dangerous. Well, they are if you don't know how to use them, right? If you don't know how to position yourself, if you don't know how to minimize glancing blows and different things like that and all that, then yeah, they're dangerous. So you got to know how to use them. But an axe is a very efficient cutting tool. The smallest axe that I would go with would be a 2 1/4 pound Hudson Bay axe. That's what we carried as survival instructors. I wouldn't go anything smaller than that, but a full-size double bit would probably be the better way to go in an inch kind of situation. And I realize that a lot of these tools might not fit in an inch bag, and that's sort of the contradiction of the statement that you can put all the things that you need into a bag. You really probably can't, but it's a concept that we're talking about, right? So full-size double bit axe. On one side, you're going to want to have the profile shaped in a very a cutting, penetrating way, and then with a sharp bevel. And then on the other side, you're going to want to have that in a more obtuse, I don't know what the right word is, more open angle, so that it's going to be better for splitting. So you could use that, you can double use it for cutting and splitting. So the next on the list is probably going to be a saw, and a saw is highly useful for a lot of the fine work that you might have to do. So maybe we're talking about building benches and tables and intricate type furniture and traps and different things like that, because there's some stuff that an axe isn't going to work real great for, and whittling and stuff like that. It gets tedious. You can make that work go by a lot faster by using a saw. I actually wouldn't take anything with too large of a blade, of a long blade. Like they've got some of the long blade silky saws and stuff like that. Those are great, and they're really efficient for doing certain things and stuff like that. But the blades are somewhat brittle on the longer ones. I would probably take something with a 12-inch blade or less, and I would have a straight edge on it. And I'll show you a saw like what I'm talking about in a video here coming up. I've got it's going to be one of our giveaways for the Substack monthly giveaway for the paid subscribers. That and another hand axe, small, like a hatchet. But anyway, that's beside the point. So yeah, a saw would be another good item on there. The next item is a knife, and I personally would have that knife be something very, very similar to an SE6, something like that. If you wanted to expand the list, you'd probably have some smaller knives as well, but if we're just kind of limiting it to the big items, then I'm gonna go with that. And obviously, you guys know that a knife can be used for a bazillion different things, and so there's really no reason talking about what all you would use it for there. So where are we at here? We've got a pot, we've got a shovel, we've got an axe, a saw, and a knife, and then am I counting that wrong? So the next one is going to be a sleeping bag, and whether or not you use a wool blanket, heavy wool blanket, or like a good synthetic fiber, really heavy sleeping bag, like the military sleep system is one that I would probably recommend, something like that, because it can create that microclimate for you down to very cold temperatures, and that might be what you need if you're in the backwoods in the northern mountains somewhere. Now, if you're down south, you know, a wool blanket is probably more than sufficient. You'll probably be fine. I think that's a really important one, because being able to maintain your body temperature is extremely important. So I'd say the last thing on the list is probably going to be a good file. For some reason, I feel like I'm missing one. I'm gonna have to go back and count. So I had a list made up. I'm gonna have to check that. A good file to be able to sharpen all those items would be key. A full size, you know, bastard file, something like that would be really good. I gotta check my list. Hang on. Okay, of course. I was forgetting one. A ferro rod. So a good, like 6-inch long by 1/2-inch diameter ferro rod would be the fire starting tool that I would take. And the reason I would take that one is because something like that is because ferro rod can be used in any conditions. It lasts an extremely long time. If you just use the bottom 3 inches and use the top 3 inches for a handle, and then, you know, use the bottom till you wore it out and then flipped it over or whatever, or just equilaterally used it, I can't even imagine the number of fires that you could start with that, but I know it would be enough to last a lifetime if you took care of it. The important thing would be just not to lose it. That would be the hard thing with that. But a ferro rod is in that kind of situation is a huge force multiplier, because then you don't have to try to start fire by traditional methods and all that kind of stuff. And you also don't need a bunch of tinder and everything, because you can just use, you know, shavings and feather sticks and those kind of things. So you'd be fine with just a ferro rod. So you've got your fire covered, you've got your water and your water gathering, your water purification. You've got your ability to control your temperature with your sleeping system, and you've got the ability to gather all the firewood and to build your shelters and all that kind of stuff with the other tools. And I think that would be the basics that you would need as far as the tools go. Now, there's a lot of little smaller things that you could include in there that you'd want to have. So I'd love to get your guys' comments on what are some of the other tools that maybe aren't as important as these, but are very important, that you'd want to put in there. I know a first aid kit is definitely going to be, you know, up there in there as well. But you know, put down in the comments what you guys think would be. So I'm mostly interested in the tools that you would need out in the wilderness to make your life easier and to make you have a higher chances of success. So I look forward to reading those from you guys. And if you guys like this kind of content, if you like hypothetical discussions and stuff about, you know, SHTF situations and everything, I'd love it if you subscribe and hit the thumbs up button. And head over to Substack. It's just realitysurvival.substack.com. Get signed up over there. And you can get signed up as a free member. That'll help me notify you anytime I put a video out, kind of come directly to you. And then if you want to get signed up as a paid subscriber, then you can do that too. We are going to have monthly giveaways over there. Last month we gave away an SE6. Like I said earlier, this month we're giving away a hatchet, a really nice hand axe, kind of small hatchet, and a saw, a silky saw. So every month we have something that's about $100 or $150 worth of value that we give away to the paid subscribers. Right now we only got like 70 paid subscribers, so your chances of winning are pretty good because it's just a random draw. So anyhow, that is it for today. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to live 6 P's. Proper prior preparation prevents poor performance. Stay safe, guys.